All right.
So, what is track 5?
All right. So this is part 3 of a part 5 altogether series that we're doing.
Yeah.
We're breaking down all the tracks on my debut record, Learning to Live with Precious Time. And we're on track 5.
Track 5.
Which is Learn to Live.
Oh, man.
Featuring Danica Hendricks.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. Learn to Live.
Huh.
The most rock song on this record.
Yeah. And I think, I think this song turned out wonderfully and really inspired direction as per blending two worlds of Taylor, which is like a nice folky acoustic side and a more rocky side.
Yep.
And I feel like this is very you.
Yeah, no, like this was such a fun song to make. Honestly, all the songs were great to make, but like this is a joy because we got to just like rock out.
Yeah.
You know, like it is the most upbeat song on the record by like a long shot. And it's just such a fun, cool song, you know, and like I just had such a good time recording this one and like working on you. Like I remember in pre-pro we're like, yeah, we're gonna do like this, we're gonna do that, like it's gonna be big. Like,
our minds ran wild with this song.
Yeah, like it's just like this had so much room, you know, like it was just like there was no boundary for me. It's like I want this to be a rock song, and so we're just like, okay, we'll do like four guitar parts, we'll do like crazy drum stuff, we'll do like huge vocals, like it was just everything, right? It was just so cool.
It was just another one of those songs that like we're recording it and we're just like, yeah, like this is amazing, and then you record something else and you're like, oh my god, like, and like it just like happened so naturally.
Yeah.
And it really did come together well.
Yeah, no, I'm super stoked on this song. It's again probably one of my favorites on the record. Like I go back and I'm just like just rocking out to it. Like yeah, I had a lot of fun. Like I said, like it's just a fun like middle. It's funny that I put it in the middle of the record, but again, like I don't know if I touched on this, but this album is kind of a concept album.
Yeah, and you didn't really realize that.
I did not
until we started pre-production.
Yeah, we had sat down in pre-pro, and then you'd asked me, I think, like,
well,
do you have an order or like?
Yeah, and we were talking about what all the songs were about.
Yeah, and like really breaking it down to see like what song needed, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we didn't touch upon that at the beginning of this whole series.
Yeah.
But the order of all the songs here, like, we took to heart, and
yeah, it's very purposeful.
And we put a lot of thought into it, and it's funny. Taylor didn't Taylor wasn't like, I'm gonna record a concept album.
No.
Like, he had a bunch of songs, and without knowing it, it was kind of like telling the tale of his life.
Yeah, essentially. I think it kind of was like a eureka moment in pre-pro for both of us, because you'd ask me like what each song was about, so you can, as a producer, have an inside knowledge of that. Like for those of you that don't really know what goes on inside that kind of world, like producer is kind of the person that like sits back and like really takes in all the notes and stuff for the song and like feel the vibe of the song, what's the message, what's the story, and like that's how you kind of carve the song out, instrumentally wise, vocal wise, like how it's all gonna be laid out, right? If I'm not mistaken, like that's pretty much a producer's role.
It's certainly part of
a producer's role,
does, and it is a big part. Like when Taylor comes to me with a song and tells me what it's about, I want to help him deliver and express it in the best way possible as per what he's telling me his goal is for the song. And yeah, like Learn to Live was just, like I said, it just came together fantastic. And honestly, like the drums at the end of it were like one of the, my favorite drums parts I've ever recorded, I think. Like Jesse just like went bananas, and it just sounded so good.
Yeah, we got to give Jesse Schaefer mad kudos. I mean, like Jesse pretty much recorded all of the drums on this record, except for Pretending.
Yeah.
And he
in like a weekend.
Literally in a couple of days.
Yeah.
It was like 2 days, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's it. He's a beast of a drummer and a great friend. And this is definitely like his highlight on the record, I would say, out of all the drumming. Like he has, I mean, all of its highlights, but like if I had to pick one, this song is definitely where he killed it.
It's awesome.
It just sounds so good. So
Yeah.
Jesse, thank you so much. If you're
Shout out
watching
to you,
these,
Jesse.
shout out to you, Jesse. You did a great job. And like anybody listening to this song can just hear the drums, like they come through like pounding. And like you said, that outro is just like next level, you know, with the
Yeah.
fills and
Like, it just always hypes me up.
yeah, like you hear that ending coming, and you're like do do digga 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 digga, like it's like Phil Collins shit, you know what I mean? But like
And it's cool because, you know, Taylor very much wanted Learn to Live to be like a huge build up.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's exactly what the song is, and like at the end of it, it just explodes.
Well, yeah, like to dive into the theme a little bit, just so that they understand like why we're saying it's as big as it is. It's because it's kind of like a go get 'em song.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like. So the story behind this song is like Danica and actually co-wrote this song together. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why she's on
Not until pre-production.
pre-pro,
but-
yeah. So Danica's on the track because she helped write it with me, and we were in my friend Daniel's basement. This is about 5 years ago, I want to say. A lot of these songs are old songs, as you can tell, viewers and Adriano.
Yep.
So yeah, "Learn to Live" was a song it's been kicking around for a while in my catalog, and her and I wrote together in a basement of my friend's house at the time, and he was actually asleep because he'd worked a night shift or something. It was just Danica and I chilling, and I had my guitar there. We were just working on some stuff, whatever, like nothing serious. But then I had this like, you know, like that main chorus part like kind of down, and I was like, this is kind of cool. Maybe we work on this. So I played her the part, and then she's like, oh yeah, how about like, oh how I tried, and I'm like, that's sick. Let's use that. And like that's the how I tried part. And then we just kind of created this whole like kind of motivational song of kind of like someone that's just down on their luck, you know, like asking all these questions and like, what the hell am I doing with my life? You know, someone just feels like they're stuck, you know, in a place that they can't get out of. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, especially nowadays. And that bridge is just what ties it all together for me.
Totally.
Like, she wrote most of the bridge, honestly. Like, I wrote a couple of lines here and there, but the majority of that bridge is all Danica. So thank you, Danica, for that
Shout out to you, Danica.
amazing bridge. And vocals. Like, Danica does a great job. And, like, Danica's not a singer. Like, she sings, but that's not her career. That's not what she wants to do, right? Like, she just sings for fun, right?
Yeah. And it, you know, she's an awesome voice.
She has a
Like,
great voice.
I think the song, like, you guys just sound like two friends singing a song, which is, you know, a very special thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of the moment I wanted to capture with the song. It's just
Yeah.
like her and I, because it's a very personal song to us, right? Because basically the person in the song is us.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're writing from a point of her and I were both stuck in a place at the time period we wrote it, right? And we really needed that motivational push of like, get up, this is your life, you got to take control. Like, I'm just referencing all the lyrics in the song. You know, like, you have to choose to be happy, like, you have to go obtain these things, right? So it's kind of like a kick in the ass song, you know?
Yeah.
Hence why I wanted to have that rock feel, you know, like that amped energy of like, yeah, life sucks right now, but like, it's gonna get better. And so push, and then you get that big outro, and it's like, you did it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's kind of the whole theme in that song. But yeah, it's a really special moment in the record for me, just because I get to share a song with Danica, who's been one of my friends for a long time. And I got her to sing on the record, which is really fun. And she did a great job.
Yeah.
I think she did a really great job for someone that's not usually singing on a record. You know what I mean?
I completely agree.
Yeah, it's just a fun song. It's middle of the record because that's kind of like where my life was like this.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll get to the rest of it after. But yeah, no, Learn to Live's a fun one, and just recording it with you was just so much fun.
It was certainly one of the funnest songs to record.
Yeah, I just remember like doing the electric guitar that day, and there's a couple of stories with this, but I'll pick two. There was one where we were doing that bridge, and like I remember you like paused it and turned around to me, and you were like, "Dude, like you really got to give it, man. Like this is the bridge of the song." I'm like, "Okay." So I stood up off the couch and I was like, or up the chair, whatever. I stood up and I was like, "Play it," and you're like, "Okay," and I was like, and I really got into it, man. And I think that's the take we ended up using.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then so that was a fun story about tracking the guitar part, and then who could forget about the solo? So Adriano played a lot of guitar on this song, on Learn to Live. That shredding solo you hear is all Adriano. And I remember like you and I think we did quite a few takes of that solo until we got it right.
Yeah.
Like, it was like at least 12 or 15 or something like that. Because you kept wanting to do it over and over again, and I was like, I was sold on the one before, I think.
I don't remember. All I know is, like, you know, the guitars were really cool on the record because Taylor and I, like we said, we had a lot of people come into the studio to do certain parts, but with the exception of Pretending, Lena's part, like, you and I were just able to, like, lock ourselves in a studio and get creative with tones and parts and, like, really take our time with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So when we're doing Learn to Live, Taylor's like, hey man, can you put a solo on here? And it was just like, you know, I just completely kind of like noodled, like freestyled a couple of different things, and then once, like, I think Taylor heard the one that he wanted, then, like, we started moving more in that direction.
I think, that's how it went, I think,
And I don't know, like,
we both knew the take though. I remember like, once we figured out, like, kind of how, because there was that part where it was like, I'm singing that bridge, right? So you spaced out the solo to fit in between my vocals, and I think.
Well, actually, I believe the way it worked is, like, I played something, like, super twangy.
Yeah.
And Taylor fucking loved it, and I'm like, ooh, let me try something else. You're like, no.
No, David, that's the one.
I'm like, oh shit. He's like, why does this sound so country? I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, that's the country. It's the country solo.
Yeah.
But I think you and I both knew it was the one, though.
I think so.
As much as you hated me making fun of it, I was like, no, this is great, man.
Yeah.
This fits the song. Like, it's as twangy and country as it sounds, like, it just works.
Yeah, and it really does, like, just fit well in the song, totally.
It's just the way that you, like, patterned it out. It just fit beautifully.
Yeah.
You know, and, like, I remember you drew, like, we had this board. We gotta talk about the board in one of these videos. We had this, like, big board that it's just like a big cardboard piece of cutout or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had wrote all the songs. Like, most people do this at a studio when you're tracking a record. You know, you gotta keep track of what you've recorded, what you haven't recorded, what you need to record, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's basically just like a giant bar graph. And, like, you basically just have, you know, all the songs of one column that need to be tracked, and then all the parts, like, so, like, vocals, backup vocals, guitar, lead guitar, so on and so forth, right? And so we had one of these boards that I brought to the studio to keep track of all the parts. And, you know, it started off as just me, like, writing smiley faces on the board when we were done each part for each song. And then it just got off in this, like, crazy tangent of, like, kiss faces or objects or animals or just whatever we wanted to draw. And it's a marker that was done, right?
Yeah.
And I just remember for that solo when we finally, like, agreed that was the one we're going to use. I remember, like, Adriano walked over there and he's like, don't look. And I'm like, okay. And he drew, like, this cowboy with, like, a tractor and, like, two guns that were smoking. And I was like, is that a cowboy with two guns and a tractor? He's like, yep. I'm like, nice.
This is certainly, like, the best checkboard, whatever you call it,
it's amazing.
Ever been done. Like,
absolutely.
You should honestly keep that forever.
I have it in my closet.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get rid of that thing.
Yeah.
I'll probably take a picture of it and put it up. So it'll be up by the time you see this.
Totally.
I'll put it up when the album comes out.
Cool.
But yeah, that's just so funny, man. Like, that cowboy solo. You guys know. You guys have heard the song. That solo in the bridge. Like, it's just so good.
That was me.
That was Adriano.
And I was like, I loved it, but I was like, is it too twangy? And Taylor was just like going with it, and he loved it.
I still love it.
Yeah, it's great.
I still stand by my decision to put it in the song.
Totally.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
I just like busting your balls with the whole country thing. It was funny. Tractor Joe over here.
Yeah,
I'm going to put out a country album now. And you're like, no, we lost the file. It's done.
I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to delete that and tell you I lost it forever.
Oh, my God. It was so funny. Yeah. That was a good story, man. It was a good story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Learn to Live, I think.
Learn to Live. Check it out.
Check it out, man.
Today.
It's a good song. So moving on to track 6 on the record.
What's track 6?
It's Opaque.
Opaque.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. This kind of like, this song, I really like this song. Let me just say that right now. Like, this is a very different song for this record. It's very stripped back. Like, very stripped back. And it's kind of my attempt at breaking traditional song structure.
Totally.
Because it does not follow any structure at all. Like, there's no chorus. There's, like, an epilogue. Like, or a verse. And then my wonderful friend,
There's
CJ.
a part.
there's a part, like, for those of you that have listened to the record, Opaque, you've heard it. So we're just going to break it down for you. But yeah, honestly, like, that song was just an experimental song for me as an artist. Like, I had that like, picking kind of thing that I do throughout the whole song, basically, right? And it was my first time ever doing something like that.
And did you and CJ write it together?
We did, yeah.
The lyrics?
Yeah. Well, I wrote the epilogue part, like the beginning part, and then she wrote her own lyrics.
She wrote her own part.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So basically the story behind that song. So shout out to CJ. I love you, CJ. Her artist name is Proper Grim. So it's tagged as Proper Grim on the album. So just in case you guys are confused. I put out a record with her. I produced it. Called Whiskey and Lies. Go check that out. That's her project. So yeah, that's why her name is Proper Grim. But yeah, CJ, my friend, is the vocalist that features on this song. And I had written this song around the same time as Pretending. I'd say it's probably like a few months after Pretending.
Okay.
So I was in that apartment that I lived with CJ. So I lived with CJ at the time.
Yeah.
And I was working on this song. Like, I had that finger picking part, or like the plucking part. The main thing of that. Like, the whole song is just basically that finger part with like things adding and taking away, right?
Yeah. And
so I'd had it kind of figured out. And I kind of wanted to do a chorus, and like I wanted to do like a structure, but I was like, you know what? Like, screw the structure.
Yeah.
Like, let's just play this and like add stuff and do like a build up and that like bridge kind of part or whatever, like whatever you want to call it. And then like have it all just tie together at the end and like just have it be like a really different song. And so I showed CJ when she got home from work that night. I was like, hey, listen to this thing I have. And so I showed her. She was like, wow, this is really pretty, man. Like,
yeah.
Like, what are you going to do with it? I'm like, that's it. This is it. Like, I'm going to keep it like this. I'm going to add stuff and then take away stuff. And that's the whole song. She's like, oh, that's so cool. Like, it's like breaking the traditional song structure.
And like, it really, it does something special in the record. Like, it really breaks from, it's a very much transitioning point in the record.
It is, for sure.
And I loved that you had the idea of, not leaning into a traditional structure, but I do still think we were able to structure it in a way that like still told a story very well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that point. I feel like it's not so like abstract that like no one's gonna get it, but it stays within the realm of possibility.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like crazy.
Yeah, it's not like,
that far.
It's
out
not
there.
like the next song on the record.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Don't worry. Yeah, I just really like this song. How it, like you said, it kind of breaks up the record.
Yeah, and something about CJ's part is just done so wonderfully.
Oh, that was so cool, man.
And like, something very special was captured in what was programmed and what was mixed and what was recorded.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And the cool thing about that song too is like the story I was telling about earlier, of how she came home that night and like I showed her the song, whatever, what I had at least, and she said that's because I only had that epilogue part, right? And I had this idea in my mind of like I need another singer on this. I think I didn't really know why at the time until she sang, and I was like, that's what I needed right there. Like, I just wanted that kind of like other spirit in the song, if that makes sense. Like, I wanted another voice to tell the other side of the story, or to like connect with the person I was being in the song, like that epilogue part, right?
Absolutely.
I kind of feel like the epilogue is one person, and he's going through a strenuous situation of like he's repeating things, and like he keeps feeling like this fear is in him and stuff like that, and like it coincides with my own life, obviously, because like after that high you get from Learn to Live, this song is kind of like a wake-up call.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we were riding that high and it's like, oh wait, life still is tough. And then it's like boom, and like Opaque's kind of like a guy who is riding that high but still realizes he has fear to live through.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like him, this is almost kind of like a settle down from Learn to Live. So that kind of structure breakup is nice, I think, and it fits really well on the album there.
Totally.
And CJ comes in, listens to it, and goes, okay, so what do you want me to do? Because I had asked her, like, hey, do you want to sing on this, right? And so I was like, this part right here, I think, it needs just the outro, basically. It just needs something. Like, maybe just, like, 1 or 2 lines. Like, it's nothing crazy. It's just something to, like, connect everything. with a pen on her hand, she goes, and like writes this first thing that came to her mind.
Oh my god.
First thing that came to her mind. Stuck in a twilight zone, and I'm just praying you make it home. First thing she wrote down.
It's just like a little bit of seasoning.
Like I don't even know, just fairy dust or like what, man. But like she wrote the first thing down on her head, on her hand, and showed me on her hand. She's like, "Is this good?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's amazing."
Beautiful.
I got her to sing it on the demo in my apartment, and that's the line we ended up using, and it just worked beautifully, and it just creates that haunting like that. I don't know if you know the sonic, like I don't know, just like that crazy dissonance feeling, you know? I don't know, it just paints the whole picture of that song basically. And then her and I sing that outro together with the ooze, and man, does it give me goosebumps.
Oh yeah.
Goosebumps.
The entire song is just big goosebumps.
Yeah, and the cello as well.
Yeah.
Just that
Beautiful.
like, oh dude, a cool production thing I want to talk about before we end this video and do the next video is that kind of, again, I don't know what to call it, like the bridge or whatever, like the part where we have the guitar solo in the background, the cello's going on, and you did that weird thing with my vocals. Do you remember how it's like I'm doing like the ooze, like the spacey ooze, and they're like very pushed back in the mix? But you had like two layers. There was one that was like full auto-tune, and there's one that wasn't.
Oh yeah.
And you had them going at the same time, and they were like panned or some shit. Like I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, one was like destroyed with auto-tune to like just create this really weird, like almost like unnatural thing that was like underneath your other vocal. Like, yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, we definitely took leaps and bounds in terms of like ideas in that song, and like pushed the boundaries of what we could do. You know, like you'd actually show me that, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I love it though. Like this is sick. It creates
really cool,
it creates that ambience and that like mystery in the song. You know, of like just that soundscape.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
Totally,
it's really cool. But yeah, that's Opaque.
That is Opaque.
I think that's. I don't. Anything else you want to say about Opaque?
No, I think we're all good.
All right, so that concludes part 3. So click on over to part 4, and we're going to talk about song, 7 and 8?
7 and 8.
7 and 8.